we just started another subdivision in Tennessee right now. It's 320 acres, and we're cutting it up into like 20 to 25 acre lots. Um, and it's beautiful. I mean, it really is the coolest way to add value. And one of my goals is to just make real estate more accessible to people.
Mm-hmm.
So land is a great way to do that because buying even the most affordable home right now is a multi-$100,000 purchase.
Crazy.
Whereas you can still get a decent chunk of land for $100,000,
Yeah.
something very reasonable and accessible.
Hey. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. I'm your host, Lynn Twyford. I'm America's most sought after real estate investor. And I am so excited that you are here with us today. As you can see, I have awesome man with me today. So this would be our wicked smart man of the week. So Logan's going to share some great tips and ideas, and you're going to love him, and then you're going to like him and follow him, and you're going to get involved in his business as well. Our motto at Dwanderful is people before profits. So if that resonates with you, you're at the right place, you're at the right time. I'm your girl. And if you will go to Dwanderful, Dwanderful, Dwanderful.com and opt in, I have a free ebook, Flip Your Way to a Fortune. And for those of you that are new, I took my name Dwan and the word wonderful and I made Dwanderful. So that's how we became so awesome over here at my end. So Logan, welcome to the show, honey.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm excited that you're on today.
I'm excited to be here.
So before we started recording the call, Logan and I were sharing makeup tips. He's like, no, don't tell anybody that. So we like to start off with, we were talking about my lipstick or lack of, because this is my filter. They all know I use filter. Everybody that watches me knows. We like to start off, we have drinks with Dwan, and I'm having cranberry juice. So I think we're both healthy today because you're having a protein shake. So
Yeah.
cheers.
Cheers.
And you guys get your drink. Have your toast. Everybody take a deep breath. Get rid of all your negativity, whatever's on your mind, shake it off. And focus in right here with the two of us today. And let's hang out for the next 45 minutes or so. Have some fun. Pretty sure we'll both make you laugh. And we're going to have some fun. So, Logan, welcome to the show. I'm super excited to have you on today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I see your Texas thing in the background. Are you in Texas?
Yeah, Dallas.
So, Texas Gun Collection Association, is that it?
Yep. Texas
I
Gun
love it.
Collector Association. I'm not in it, but we saw it at a estate sale, and I was like, that's a pretty cool piece of memorabilia. That's coming with me.
Right next to Casablanca, too. That's some pretty cool memorabilia you got behind you.
That's right. And then surveys behind me.
Oh, there you go.
Surveys.
See? That's my kind of guy right there. I always tell people, I'm like, if I could be a state, I would be Texas.
Yeah, not Florida.
Star, you've got all the weather, you've got your own power, your own water, you got all your own stuff, you got everything. Texas can succeed from the rest of the rest of us crazy people. It's like I would be Texas. That's the state I would be if I was going to be a state.
Yeah, it's a place for big egos, that's for sure.
It is. Well, maybe that's why that fits in there. My husband lived out there, I think, for about 15 years, and he's from Iowa. And so his brothers and sisters, they all moved to Texas. So basically, my husband's entire family, brothers, sisters, like, I don't know, 50 nieces and nephews, they all live over in the Houston area.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I love Texas. That's like, Texas is awesome.
I'm from Wisconsin originally, and when I moved down here, some of my family started following too. So I get it. I'm an anchor.
So Bill got his family, and then after living there for a while, he's like, I want to live in the mountains of Colorado. So he moved, and he's like, nobody's following me to the mountains.
It's my mountain.
It's my mountain. So our family's in like Iowa and Ohio, and now we're in Colorado. Like y'all can come visit. Nobody's moving here. we, we want this is our slice of the world right here. So,
That's
right.
right.
So, what I like to do. So you are today's wicked smart man. And this session, we just like to kind of pick your brain and just find out really more about who you are, what you do, obviously, and who you are, and just kind of expose people to you that may not know you on my end. And then at the end of the day, I hopefully they go, hey, that Logan guy was really great. I'm going to follow him on social media, and I'm going to get involved with what he's doing, and he's amazing. So it's more just kind of that's why we start with the drink. It's like we're hanging out, we're at a restaurant, we're both having some wine or beer or whiskey or something, and someone would be sitting around going, those two have the most interesting conversation. So that's what we're doing today.
Perfect. Yeah. Most interesting conversation. Check.
That's it. So whatever comes up is what we talk about. So I'm going to throw you straight into the wolves. So the first thing I'd like you to do is obviously tell us your name, how we get in touch with you, and a very short, this is what I do. And then we're
Mhm.
going to just talk about how you got to where you're at today.
Perfect. Yeah.
So what's
So
your deal?
Logan's, yeah. So I'm Logan Swanson, coming to you live from Dallas, Texas. And so I'm in the land investing industry. I have a few different companies that kind of operate here and there around buying and selling land. Right now, I'm kind of reaching out to the general real estate community to just be an advocate for this aspect of real estate investing.
Huh?
So I've put together a little bit of like free education material around it that people can check out if they want to learn more. It's at
Nice.
www.thelandfixer.com. And you can email me at thelandfixer@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to get in contact with me. If I like you enough from there, you can get my number, maybe. We'll see.
I have his phone number. Are you
Yeah.
single?
No, very married.
Marry me. Okay, I was gonna say, like, girls, if he's single, I'll give you his phone number. Because I met my husband at a real estate event. So it's like, hey, not only is it where I do my business, that was my dating pool.
There you go.
And we've been married almost 25 years. So I was like, hey, worked out fine for me. I got money in
Exactly.
it. So that turned out great. So I was teasing about being married, and I'm happy that you're married. How old are you?
I'm 33 years old.
Oh, my son. My son has 4 kids. You have kids yet?
Three.
Well, so we have 2 girls and a boy. And Bill and I got married later, so we became a blended family. And so the girls they're 33, 35, and 37. My son's 33. And he has 4 kids, and the girls have no children. So we're like, listen, until girls start having some kids, he is the favorite child. He is the golden child because he possesses all of the grandchildren. So unless your girls step up, you are not on the golden child list anymore. So, and two of my grandsons are here right now. They're outside. They're riding we bought them a little go-kart and a little tiny four-wheeler because only 4. They're outside riding right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we
I have two boys and a girl. My youngest is a girl.
Nice. How old is your youngest one?
She's 6.
Those little girls, man, they keep their daddies.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, it's all my wife and I talk about. She is at this phase where she thinks she has complete ownership of the house.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 64 years old and I'm thankful my dad's still alive. I'm telling you, I'm still daddy's girl. Like
Yeah.
64 years old, daddy, what are you doing? Daddy. It's like I never grew up.
Yeah, I
So,
see a similar fate for my daughter.
but cherish that because at the end of the day, when she's older, you want her to still be daddy's girl.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
'Cause, so, yeah. Now my dad goes, you still call your dad daddy? It's like, because he is. And at my age, a lot of us don't have parents anymore. So I'm super grateful that I have my mom and my dad, So,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
So let's,
awesome.
before we go off on some crazy tangent, let's get back to land investing. And I
Mhm.
love that it's very simple, thelandfixer.com.
Fixer.
I mean, you
Yep,
can't make that much easier. So tell
that's
me
right.
about land investing. So what is it that you specifically do in the land and that you're buying just land?
Yeah, let me give you
Are you
a
drilling? What are y'all doing out there?
Yeah, so we have a few different entities that one of them we just flip land, right? We go straight to landowners, we negotiate discounted rates, we buy it, we bring it to market. Very simple transactions.
Okay.
Um, it's a lot of fun, but it's a more competitive industry than it was a few years back. So we've kind of
Yeah.
evolved over the years. Now, what we're more focused on is buying and subdividing land. So you go buy a couple hundred acres, you split it up into 10-acre lots, 5-acre lots, things
Yeah.
like that. Bring those smaller parcels to market, sell those off. Um, we're into entitlements and development projects, so rezoning, maybe planning communities, really anything we can do as far as a forced appreciation strategy to
Mhm.
take a basic piece of land and add value to it without ever going vertical. That's
Yeah,
our
I like
goal.
that.
Yeah,
I
and
yeah,
ideally it's paperwork only. It's
yeah,
surveying, it's you're almost never picking up shovels unless you're putting a road in.
yeah. And I see you have a survey there behind you.
Yep.
Now, do you do the survey work yourself?
Oh no, I wish. It's terrible getting hold of surveyors and everything like that. But no, that's have to have a lot of schooling to be a surveyor. It's a lot of work. It's an engineering job.
It is an engineering job. My husband has some crazy math mind, and we have developed a few pieces of land, and he'll like draw it out, do it all, and do it all to scale. And this architect that we have, he's like, "Did you do this?" And he stamps it for us. And I was like, "Look, I don't even want to know how he did that without going to school for it." But he has like this super crazy math mind for that kind of stuff. He can draw it out, plan it out. Every single thing's to scale. And the first few times we used this architect, he went through the plans and he's like, "Who did you have do this?" And I was like, "No, seriously, I did that. I sit at my kitchen table at night and that's what I do." So
Yeah, that's wild. I don't have that level of patience. Not a chance.
I don't have that level of trying to map it. I no, me either. So you guys are buying vacant land. So then when you say you want to parcel it out, are you then looking for like a developer like, "Hey, here's 100 acres, it's all parceled out and whatever, 5 acre plots. We want you to build something here." Are you trying to sell each individual place?
So it really depends on the type of community we're developing at that point. If you're building something within the city limits that has full utility, sewer, water, all that, chances are you're either going to work with one or two or three builders, and you're going to try to sell out that entire inventory.
Right.
And oftentimes you're trying to get that under contract before you even do the work. You want to have
Oh
your
yeah.
exit planned out. More of what we do is rural. So we're usually operating, 1 to 2 hours outside of a major city center. We're subdividing lots and we're selling them directly to the retail buyer that's going to plan to build on them someday, use it for recreational purposes, whatever you might
Yeah.
have. And that's typically where we get the highest bang for buck in the sales transaction.
And then that person would buy it and put in like their own septic or
Yep.
whatever they need to do, and you don't have to do any of that. So they do all that. A lot of people really. I mean, we live in Colorado up here in the mountains.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, if you want to see a bunch of really strange, odd people that want to live off the grid where no one knows they're alive, you just need to come and drive my neighborhood. We've got like people like us with massive multi-million-dollar houses, and we've got people with little A-frames, and they are 100% off the grid. There's nothing there. And but a lot of people really want to more and more kind of live like more
Mm-hmm.
out and more away from the crazy cities and have like their own little patch of land.
Yeah, and it's a big push because of remote work and things like that. Um, I think my generation is really kind of looking back at something that's a yesteryear sort of thing. Growing your own food, raising chickens, homesteading, multiple homes. Having your parents live with you in your backyard, stuff like that. And when you move out to the country, it just gives you way more flexibility with that stuff. Your average city doesn't want you to have a mother-in-law house in your backyard or anything
Um,
like that.
and they
So
definitely
it's,
should have chickens.
we've found the rural areas to just be more conducive for families.
They are.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you can't have chickens there. My brother-in-law lives in St. Louis, and he lives in a very old subdivision. He actually lives in the house that he was raised in. So when his parents got really old, they say, "Hey, do you want to buy the house?" So he moved back into his childhood home. Now this is right in St. Louis, right in a subdivision. And in the backyard, he's got chickens.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't have chickens in a subdivision. If my house was behind your house and you had chickens, I would be either scooping those chickens up at night and I don't know, eating them, or calling the city all the time for the clucking and the noise that the chickens make. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't understand how you have chickens.
Here in Texas, our neighbors to the back, they have chickens, and yeah, it's pretty wild. We live in just a small residential community, so it's more common here, that's for sure.
It is. But but what you say is true because all three of my kids are millennials. And, they grew up between Florida and Colorado. And in Florida, we're in a gated community, zero lot lines, very, different. Colorado, we're out everywhere. And they, oh, no, we're going to live in the city. But now that they're all in their 30s, they all want to buy land. They all want to get tiny houses. And they're like, they all want to have a baby goat and
Hmm.
a little lamb. I was like, who raised you children? Why is it you want all this stuff? And they want to have little gardens and little farms. And I'm like, I am definitely not the mother here. I don't know why y'all want to have all that, but I was raised up like that. So I think you're raised that way, then you skip it because it was too much work. And your kids are like, but it's so much fun.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And I think there's also just this thing with, us growing up with more time on screens and things like that. You get to a point where you just crave reality again, and not staring at a laptop. Go touch some grass, go touch, raise an animal, go do something that's more hands-on and natural because, at least in my experience, my life was really separated from a lot of that stuff. If you're spending time in cities, you're always on laptops. It's just
Hell
like,
yeah.
it's really a killer experience to go from a city to the country, even if it's just a little ways. So
It's fun though. I like that. So are those the type of buyers? So when you're trying to say you buy 100 acres and you plot it out and you sell it out, you're selling each individual one.
yep.
And do you buy them all around the country?
No, I mean we usually we work in the Sun Belt states. We work in areas where the laws are friendly for us, right? So Texas is definitely our mainstay. In Texas, the subdivision process for properties for 10 acres or greater is almost non-existent,
Yeah.
right? You call the county, you say, hey, I want to cut this 100 acres into 10-acre lots. And they say, okay, just send us the plat when you're done. Um, so there's just so much flexibility and leeway that allows for you to really full cycle a multi-million dollar deal very quickly
Mm-hmm.
without having to put a lot of effort into it. So that we like Tennessee a lot, Georgia, those sorts of areas do really well.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of cousins we're gonna move back to now we never all of us lived in Tennessee, but our grandparents did. And they're all retiring now. They're like, we're gonna move to Tennessee and get a little acre and have a little tiny farm. And I'm like, okay, but those are our childhood memories. Have you ever actually done those things? But it sounds so nice. I'm like, it does sound nice. But you're right,
Mhm.
that Georgia area and Tennessee, especially Texas, those are all such great areas. And the land, Tennessee is so beautiful. I love Tennessee. The land is so beautiful there.
Yeah, we just started another subdivision in Tennessee right now. It's 320 acres, and we're cutting it up into like 20 to 25-acre lots. And it's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it really is the coolest way to add value. And one of my goals is to just make real estate more accessible to people.
Mm-hmm.
So land is a great way to do that because buying even the most affordable home right now is a multi-$100,000 purchase.
Crazy.
Whereas you can still get a decent chunk of land for $100,000,
Yeah.
something very reasonable and accessible. So that's it scratches a lot of itches for me when you get into subdivision.
Yeah, I like that. I've actually only done one. We bought some land up here in the mountains that somebody had bought back in the 40s. So we did a bunch of research, and apparently the family, the grandpa, whoever it was, maybe I guess, I don't know, great grandfather or grandfather had gone to war, and I don't know what happened, but this giant piece of land has sat here for decades and decades and decades and decades, decades. So we see it, and it's not far from us, and it's a pretty big hunk of land. We're like, let's go look into that. So we go look at it, and we drive over to the city, and we call him the map guy. He's the guy that works in that department with piles of maps hanging all over the place, and from every little parcel's ever been done in the entire county.
Planning and zoning.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And this guy, I mean, I tell you, it's like walking in an office of like Indiana Jones, all the stuff he's got. And he finds this old, I mean, I don't even know, from the 40s. This land was already platted out and all this stuff was already done. I was like, hey, we've not done that before. Let's like, let's do that out. So that's what we're doing. So I'm actually doing my first actual land deal, straight land, dividing,
Yeah.
platting, and it's really fun because I've never done it. I always buy them or fix them up or rehab them. And this is like from scratch. So I'm doing my very first one right now. And it's so fun.
What county is it? We've done a lot of work in
It's
Colorado
in
just
Park County.
flipping.
In
Park
Park
County?
County.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I've
And
done a lot of work in Park County.
there was one little cabin that was built, and this is a cabin from the old days. There's electricity, it's got an outhouse. It's just like this little tiny thing. And so I thought, that'd be fun. Like we could go there on the weekends. I'm like, yeah, you know what? We don't need to. I live in Park County. I'll pass on the outhouse. Too much like my childhood. But that tiny little cabin, we thought we'll just sell that little piece off because it's ready. I cannot believe how much money the people paid for that. It's like it's got nothing.
Yeah.
It was like this over almost $300,000. It has nothing. It's got no plumbing. It's got no water. Like, oh my god, this is a great summer cabin. And I was like, what? So now I'm like, okay, so we're plotting this up now, and we're building one house on it, and then making some others, and we're putting a row. So we're doing a few things, but it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And what we like to do too is we like to owner finance on the sales side. And that creates this really, extended, predictable, passive income for you. It's really, really a lot better than most other investment strategies that I'm familiar with. Now, at the end of the day, you're selling it. So you lose the property and you got to move on to the next one. But it's highly profitable. It's relatively simple and it's a lot of fun.
And you are though, if you're owning financing it, you're becoming the bank. So you're
Mhm.
getting the payments and all the write-offs the bank gets without having to have people call and go, my toilet's clogged.
A
So,
hundred
so
percent.
that's nice too. I love to be the bank.
Yeah, and the standard interest rates that folks are charging in the land industry are like 12 to 15%.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's people don't bat their eye at it. It's wild.
Golly. Okay, that's a good tip for me to know with my little tiny project. It's only like 50 acres, but still, I'm working on it. It's like I did not know that there's that kind of interest rate in the land deals. Now, how did you so you're 33. So when you were like 13, 14, 15, what was that? What was that, Logan? What was that kid doing?
Yeah, man, I've always had this entrepreneurial itch for sure. I mean, even earlier than that, as soon as I realized I could go to my neighbor's yard, mow it, and make some money, I effectively had one scheme after another to try to drum up some money. I came from a mobile home park in rural Wisconsin. So, I didn't grow up with much. And at times it was like if I needed clothes, I had to go buy them. So I just got in that mindset really early of self sufficiency, and um, I really enjoyed it. I launched my first little business type thing when I was 14.
Um,
Yeah,
what'd you do? What'd you do?
I was working in a nursing home at the time, just washing dishes, and I got to know some of the residents there, and I found out like they all have these old scrapbooks of photos that are just falling apart. So I decided, well, I'm going to go buy one of those scanners, like the nice 3-in-1 printer scanner sort of things. And, very modestly priced it, but I'd go through and just scan and digitize their photos and put them on CDs and make multiple copies for their family members and stuff like that. Maybe do a little bit of touch ups on photos. And I don't. A few years later, a big company launched that did the same thing, just digitizing old photos. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn it, I should have done that, or I should have made it bigger than it was. But um, yeah, I've kind of always been like that. If there was a way for me to hustle in one form or fashion, I've always been in hot pursuit.
I love that. And you know what? At 14 years old, though, that's like a pretty big idea. I'm going to take
Yeah,
these old photos because, I think at 14, I think most 14-year-olds don't realize how precious a picture is to someone that's 80. Yeah, because, you're young and like, when you're 14, people that are 30 are like, oh my God, how are they still alive? They're so old. And
yeah,
to like know and think like, hey, I could do this and help these families and help them with their pictures. Like, that's a really cool thing to even think to do.
Mhm. Yeah. And it was really cool because it, reinforced a lot of the reasons I like to be in business. It's like relationships,
Yeah.
helping people, creating value. Um, and of course, like that instilled in me the idea of just being self-employed. That was the hardest thing. My wife's my business partner currently. She and I both kind of ran through that struggle of being in the 9 to 5 for a long time. And
Yeah.
man, there's nothing like coming out the other side and having a little bit of freedom in your life.
So much, so much. So when did you enter into the real estate side of things? Because, 14, you're doing photos, which is so sweet. And then where along the way did you like, you know what? I think real estate sounds like fun. How old are you when that transition, I'm sorry, summing out my word today, that transition took place?
Yeah. So in 2018, probably 2017 is when I really started getting a little bit of interest and exposure. I was a project manager for a construction company. We had 2 kids. My wife was pregnant with our third, and my kind of team lead or whatever you call him in the construction world, he was just learning about real estate, and he took me to a couple like Dallas Fort Worth is just lousy with wholesalers and things like that. And there was
Yeah.
some guy who, you know, had a little meetup in a dingy hotel and talked about wholesaling and how to wholesale single family homes. And I had my first exposure to um, the fact that you can do creative things to make money
Yeah.
in real estate. And at the same time, in construction project management, I was working on commission, and I closed a couple jobs, and I had received my first $10,000 check. And it just kind of dawned on
So
me. I
much
was like,
money.
yeah, I was like insane. I'd worked in restaurants my whole life, and you made good, consistent money, but never like a lump sum or something that would really change anything. And that $10,000, along with that, a little bit of education in real estate, just it made me realize there's got to be something better than working for somebody else, and I'm going to try this real estate thing. Um, Now I was broke. My wife. I mean, I think she was the breadwinner at this time. I was working construction project management. It was commission only. I had good months and terrible months. And then at night, I was waiting tables at a fine dining steakhouse here in Dallas. And we just didn't have any time between us. We
Yeah.
had no savings. Our kids were more expensive than the amount of money we could make. It was just really a hectic time for us. Everything was month to month. Sitting down, deciding what bills we were going to pay this month, which ones we were going to try to push to next month. And uh, the more I learned about real estate, the more I was like, there's no way I'm going to have money to go buy a house, right? I was like, I didn't have anything to scrape together. So then I kind of got down this rabbit hole, learning about land and flipping land and how much money people were able to make with effectively no startup capital. And I said, all right, that seems viable for me. So I went to a family friend, kind of a mentor,
Yeah.
who has a bunch of rental homes and things like that. And I had a couple lunches with him. I pitched him what I wanted to do. And he asked me, how much money would you need to get started? And I was like, I need $2,000. And I didn't have it.
Yeah.
So he loaned me $2,000 with 0% interest for 1 year. And that was our seed money to get started. We got a little bit of education. Um, we started sending mailers, and we were operating in what we in the industry call desert squares, 5 acre pieces of desert, in
Yeah.
West Texas and Nevada and in New Mexico, Arizona, places like that. And it was crazy. It worked. We were buying properties for $100 an acre, and we were selling them for $400 or $500 an acre. We started owner financing. All of a sudden, we were getting a little bit of passive income from these notes, and then just one thing after another. That desire to grow and move on to the next thing never went away. So we just kept progressing through the industry to where we're at now, and that's been about 5 years now.
And don't you love when, like, because I started off rehabbing and I didn't know what I was doing. I thought fixing up a house meant actually decorating, like
Yeah,
physically. And I bought a house
pillows.
with the intention of decorating in the 90s. I'm going to put in blinds, da, 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 da. And then I realized, okay, fixing up means rehabbing, which I did not know how to do, but I enjoyed doing it. And I started learning, going to Home Depot, and just like that, just kind of grew. Next thing you know, I'm making so much money. It's like, wow, why is it other people don't do this? Well, I don't know. There's a whole world out there yet because the internet's not that big yet. And turns out a lot of people do it. So I love to hear a story like that where, I mean, borrowing 2000 at the time when you don't have it, that seems like so much money. But when you have it, you're like, it's only 2 grand. Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And, but when you're young, it's like, that's $2,000. That's so much money. But then to go out and to make it work and to do the deals and to finance and just the way that grew, like, that is so cool. Like, that is a business that you are just meant to be in.
Yeah, it feels like that sometimes. Sometimes it just feels like if you have enough tenacity, ambition, I think you'll be able to survive and do well in most industries. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was a wild couple years getting started. My like I said, my wife was working an office job. She was waking up at 4 a.m. scrubbing lists before we got kids ready, and we both went our separate ways. And I was working all night. Um, I'd be waiting tables at this fine dining restaurant, and I'd feel my phone buzzing. Somebody's trying to sell me land or responding, and I just walk away from the table in the middle of taking an order and hide in the bathroom and start talking to sellers. And um, in retrospect, it's like how hard we worked at that time is pretty wild considered to what we do now. I think we have a
Yeah.
little bit of that, you know, laziness setting in from some successes. Maybe we need to reorient here.
No, it's not laziness. I think once you get a role, it's that you're more organized. So it doesn't
Right.
take quite as much work as it did in the beginning because in the beginning all of us, I mean everyone I've ever met in the real estate investing industry, the first 4 or 5 or 6 years we worked, like a jillion hours a week. But then once you get it, you're like, oh, okay. And then, it starts to flow like that. So I love that story though. That's really a great story. And your wife so you both are full time in this now.
Yes. Yep.
Nice. So nobody's got to go to work. You get to be with your kids. You're still doing your stuff. That's so fun. And how much land do you live on? Do you live on some land?
No. Yeah. People always ask us that. They're like, you buy and sell land all the time. How much do you keep? And it's like, not really. I mean, every piece of land just ends up looking like a deal to us,
It does.
and since we're in the business of flipping, it starts if we ran a grocery store, they're cans of soup,
Yeah, no,
so we
it's
just
true
live
though.
in it's just a regular neighborhood here in Texas, quarter acre lot. And in fact, we're kind of thinking the opposite. We've been considering recently seeing about going to another country, maybe somewhere in Europe, and just living out of the country. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be so great. Well, do it while you're young, honey, because once you get older, and then your kids have kids, and you're like, you don't want to tear yourself away. It's hard. So now, so let's just jump a couple topics here. So what's your favorite band of all time?
Oh, that's tough. Um, I think I would have to say this is a really small artist. People might not know him. He's called the tallest man on earth. I think he's Norwegian, a folk singer, though he sings English. But he just has this incredible guitar style and a very unique voice that you either love or hate. But yeah,
I
he's
do
probably
not
my
know who
favorite.
that is. I'm gonna watch that on YouTube because I very rarely get stumped on music because I've been listening to music for as long as I've been alive, and I have not heard of the tallest man on earth.
I'll text you a couple songs. You'll like them.
I'll listen. The few times there's been a handful of times someone named a band I really never heard of ever. Like, wow, okay. And I listen, and I have found some of my favorite music has been stuff like that. They're just listening to something. I was like, oh my God, that is so amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so
What's
crazy.
your favorite band?
Well, so I was in high school in the 70s. So I still have like my favorite band of all time is Styx.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
if you know Styx.
Oh yeah, of course. My dad used to
So
blast sticks for
oh
sure.
God, I love it. And it was funny because I lived in Dayton, Ohio. So there was an arena called Hera Arena. That's where all the concerts came to. And I started going to concerts. As soon as I could drive, I started going to concerts. And Styx was always opening. I was like, God, they're so talented. They should be the band. And I saw them open like 6 or 7 times where you could like get up and talk to people. And, it was the 70s. Like you could get up close. And then one day they came and they were the band. I was like, oh my God, my band is the band. And then they got to be huge. But I'm still more like an Aerosmith, Queen, Styx, but deep down is Styx. So that was like the first band that I like fell in love with the sound of the music because it was more orchestra instead of like so hard. And so
Uh-huh.
I don't know. To this day, if Styx comes anywhere within anywhere, my husband and I have gone all over the place. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like a groupie or something. So it sticks. That's still my favorite band. But I love all. I really like all genres. Weirdly enough, my parents were very heavy into bluegrass. I love bluegrass. But my deep like music is like Stevie Ray Vaughan blues. Oh my god, I love me some
Uh-huh.
Stevie Ray. I love blues and I like country. And I think at heart I'm still kind of a pop girl. Like at the end of the day, if I'm
Uh-huh.
listening to music, but I
Uh-huh.
still love all the bands in the '70s, all of them.
Nice.
I made for my little grandkids. I taught them about Pat Benatar. I don't know, Pat Benatar from the '80s?
Uh-uh.
I just took my little granddaughters to a Pat Benatar concert. Now she's 70. She's still doing concerts. She's got grandkids. I took my grandkids to their first concert to Pat Benatar. People were like, "Your grand?" I said, "No, they don't know. Mimi taught them. I'm teaching about Michael Jackson, teaching about the Beatles. They love Tom Petty. Teaching these kids some music. I'm gonna listen to the tallest man on earth. What's your favorite food?
Gnocchi.
Gnocchi. Oh, I love gnocchi. Most people don't think know what that is. That's the
Yeah.
fucking seaweed, right? The rice with the little
No,
seaweed.
no, gnocchi is like this little potato pasta that they make in
Oh,
Italy.
gnocchi. Yes.
Yes. Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
God. You put a bowl of homemade gnocchi in front of me with like some meat sauce. I'm gonna eat until I can't breathe.
I do know what that is. There's something else in the Japanese that's very similar sounding, and my kids eat it. Some kind of rice that's got seaweed around it and something in it, and it's like, oh god, it's so good. It's like that. No, it's something. Yeah, I know what gnocchi is. That is good. That is
Uh,
good. I like that too. It's funny how much different kinds of food. I think being in Texas, you'd be like barbecue or something.
it becomes commonplace. It's like a
It
burger,
does.
I mean, it's amazing. I like smoking a brisket now and again. I got some in
Oh,
my freezer right now, but
so
I when I was in high school, I went with the University of Dallas to Italy, to the Rome campus to take a class. And we went and ate at one of these tiny little restaurant, or in one of these tiny little towns outside of Rome, this little restaurant. And it was the first time I ever had gnocchi. And I still remember, like, you have those moments where it's like the
yeah,
camera spins around you and
yeah.
it's incredible. It's like one of those dishes I got to go back and find it and eat it in Italy again.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, no, I know that. I love moments like that, or like that bite, or that song, or that food takes you to a
Hmm.
really great memory. That's why I love music and
Yep.
food and stuff like that because, and so many people like don't really listen to music. I'm like, I don't understand. Like every song I know, just about takes you to a memory. Like food, like eating the
Hmm.
gnocchi. It's like that's a memory that will live on. You'll be 80 and you can still picture everything about it.
That's right. Yeah. It's so cool how the human brain works like that. You
I
hear
love
something,
it.
you feel something. We were just talking
Yep.
about deja vu yesterday. We were trying to explain deja vu to our kids, and they're like, "What are you talking about?"
I know, but I know, I get it. Sometimes you're like, have I actually been here? Did this happen? Did I dream this? I don't know what's going on right now because it feels so real. What's your favorite
That's
time
right.
of day?
Man, I'm a night owl. Honestly, I feel like I put so much of myself into every day. I get these moments at the end when the kids are all in bed and my wife hasn't fallen asleep yet, where we're just either watching something and being together or just talking a little bit, reviewing our day, planning for the next day. It feels so like calm and complete. And I have my phone, set to do not disturb and everything's just
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
It's funny. 99 probably 0.5% of people. I'm a morning person. I get up before I work out and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't get it. I'm a night person. My husband and I,
Hmm.
because we raised three teenagers together. Now we got these grandkids. And every single solitary night, like we've been married 23 years or something. And every night, like 6 o'clock, we shut all the phones off and maybe watch a movie, cook some dinner, and we just talk and we hang out, we light a fire and it's like no one's bothering us. It's like I don't understand how people don't find this to be the best part of their day.
100%. a
And,
100%. No kids. That's like all
all
my
these
wife
people
and
are
I
like, oh,
want.
I get up at 5 o'clock and and do this and that. Da, da, da. I was like, oh my God, that sounds like a horrible life to me.
Yeah, no, the mornings are drudgery for me. My wife always jokes about it. I'm one of those people where I'm just like nonverbal for the first 30 minutes while I'm drinking my coffee and staring at people like I hate them.
Yeah. But after our kids moved out, we said, you know what? Let's keep this little evening thing because then, you're older, you don't have kids living at home. It's easy to like be in separate rooms, watching different things. Like it's easy to do that. Like, no, we've been doing this for the decade that the kids lived here. And so for the decade they've been out, we still do that every night. We sit down, that's our time. We talk. Sometimes we watch a Hallmark movie or just whatever, have a glass of wine. It's gonna October, so it's gonna start snowing. We'll light a fire. And even now we're just like, oh, it's the end of the day. Like we can't wait to, and even though we work out of the same house, we sometimes don't see each other once all day. It's like,
Uh-huh.
ah, we can come together and we can hang out. And you know what? We still like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
To keep
That's
that going.
beautiful.
That is a nice thing to keep because I know so many couples as they get older and the kids are out, they're so different doing things. It's like, yeah, but at one point that was the best part of your day.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
maybe
sure
become
is right
rich,
now. I'm
keep
gonna
it.
try to keep it that way.
And then
Okay.
you're 40 and you're 50 and you're 60, you'll be like, oh man, this is so great still. Because it really is
Mm-hmm.
still great. You just have to make it stay great. Okay, so now the last thing, and I love that answer. So whenever I meet someone that says the nighttime, I'm like, oh, right there. That's my person. Because
That's right.
everyone gets up and gives me these routines and they start at 5, and I'm like, the sun is still asleep. Like, let the sun sleep. Why are we
Yeah,
up
it's
at 5? And that
waking
doesn't
up's a
mean you're,
necessary evil. It is
oh,
not
God.
ideal.
I'm like, the only time I've ever seen 5 in the morning was when I used to club and I was coming home.
Mm-hmm.
Then I saw the sunrise. So, but yeah, hardly anyone, like you're one of maybe 10 people. Just like, what does
Oh,
nobody
really?
like? Am I like the only soul on earth that loves the nighttime?
Oh, God, it's the best.
So great. All right. So I love that too. So, again, so people get a hold of you at thelandfixer.com or thelandfixer at Gmail. And
Mm-hmm.
if you like them, you might email them back. And then
Yep.
you do land investing. When you were a teenager, you were making money, being entrepreneurial. You start doing scrapbooks for people at your senior living place, which is so sweet. Then you got into real estate, borrowed $2,000 for some seed money, started doing land and grew it and grew it and grew it. Now you're doing big land and big projects and financing them and subdividing
Mm-hmm.
and all kinds of cool things. And you're like the tallest man on earth and Yoke and the nighttime.
That's right.
Is that a
Great
little bit
summary.
about Logan?
That's a great review. Yeah, it's absolutely accurate.
So I like to kind of do a quick review because, I find out that you can talk all day long about exactly what you do, but people really work with you because they like you.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, we work with the people that we like. So I always like to try to just do my interviews a little different and just talk and chat about the things that you like, I like, and, build us a base for a friendship and support each other that way because people that listen are going to like, he's so adorable. I love him. I want to do land. I'm going to follow him because Lon's only done it one time. So don't be coming to me for land advice. That's where you got to go. So my
Awesome.
last thing is,
Uh-huh.
so first of all, before the last thing, so everybody watching, if you had fun today, you laughed, anything, you smiled, I want you to subscribe to the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. I want you to leave me a 5-star review and tell me how amazing and how awesome my guest was. Also, go to thelandfixer.com and get on his mailing list, opt in to Dwanderful.com and follow me on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter or X and all the places. I'm all the places. Okay, last thing of the day. I want you to give us a word of wisdom, but just only one word. A word.
A single word.
A parting word of wisdom, a single word.
Um, Meditate.
Ooh, I like it. I have to write that down. So everyone that listens to me, we all know that meditate is now our word of the week. So with that said, what does that mean to you?
Um, for me, meditation is quieting your mind to listen to the thoughts that are being given to you. In A lot of my life, I thought that if I just thought things a lot over in my head, just picked up a thought and turned it over in my head enough that I would somehow come to this epiphany, right? And I found that the more I pick up an object in my brain and turn it around, the less clarity I have. Whereas if I have, say, a big business dealing or a sticky situation I find myself in or whatever else, I'll either actively meditate and seclude myself somewhere, quiet, turn that on, or I'll just take that one little thing I'm thinking about and just let it be in my head for a while and wait for an intuitive thought to guide my actions.
Okay, so there you guys go. Meditate is your word. That's what meditation means to Logan. So I always like to ask people a single word because I don't tell anybody ahead of time because then I don't want you to sit through the whole show thing like, what should be my word? What should be with the thing? What's my word? So there we go. I was like, I got blurry for a second. So it's more fun just to throw it at you. But then I do like to know what it means because different words mean different things to different people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always curious what that means. So, folks, that's it. Your word of the week is meditation. And Logan, again, thank you so much for being on. I've truly enjoyed getting to know you. I appreciate you taking your time and time away from your wife and kids and stuff to be with me today. I appreciate it. And everybody, we'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. And remember that the truth is in the red letters. Okay, everybody. Ciao. Thank you. Thank you, Logan. See you guys next week.
Thanks, Swan.